Hello, good evening, and welcome to Road to 2023 on SYMFONI, the very last edition for the week. Of course, this promises to be an exciting edition of the program because our focus will be the appeal court ruling need for DSS to comply. And of course, what next for the embattled IPOB leader? And there are interpretations, so many interpretations from the Office of the Attorney General Federation. So we'll look at all those interpretations and see whether they align with the appellate court ruling yesterday. And that is why we've gone the extra mile to bring you someone who is in the midst of it all and who should know. Before I let you know who he is, remember you can join us on the program. There is a link with which you can follow to call into the program. And of course, we are also streaming live on SYMFONI News. SYMFONI, SYMFONI. SYMFONI News. We are streaming live, so you can also follow the program on that platform. And then share your thoughts, comments, reactions. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to SYMFONI. Remember to hit the notification bell. I am Victor, really welcoming you to the program. And of course, on tonight's edition of the program, we are being joined by Senior Legal Counsel to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB Lead Counsel, Barrister Sir Ifeanyi Ejiofor. Good to have you once again.
Thank you so much for having me at your platform.
Thank you very much. He's been here once, and this second time he's coming at a very crucial time. He's been in hot demand. We spoke yesterday when the judgment was delivered. We chatted, and then we extended our greetings to the legal team for that victory. So, and here he's live today on the program. Just to acknowledge that James has joined us from the Gambia. James, good to have you.
Yeah, good evening from the Gambia. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, James. Thank you. And of course, Obi Oji has joined us from the US. Obi, good to have you.
Yeah, good evening here and good afternoon there. And I appreciate if you can present one full chicken for that attorney right there to be eating while we are talking.
Obi, we expect you to send us the chicken so that I can present. My own is to serve you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I think Paul Iwunze has also joined us from the US. Paul, good to have you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. And special thanks to our able barrister. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, my brother. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. We're going a short break. Remember, we are tweaking the order of the program today. We want to go straight into the program because we need to have value for his presence so that he can be properly. Yesterday we were talking like laymen, as they say. Those of them who are learned, they will educate us tonight. So let's go on a short break and we'll be back.
Please, your reaction to the judgment, sir.
Yes. For the opposition coalition in Nigeria, this victory is victory for justice, fairness, and rule of law. It was Nelson Mandela that said, "It always looks impossible until it's done."
Yes.
And Pope John Paul VI said, "For us to have enduring peace, we must fight for justice." And I'll borrow from the great philosopher, Sophocles, who said that if we must keep our democracy, there must be one commandment: thou shalt not ration justice. So justice is the path for enduring peace. So I salute the Court of Appeal for this landmark judgment. And the opposition is using this opportunity to appeal to President Muhammad Buhari as the father of the nation. The appeal court have ruled. The international community have also said the same thing. Open the gates. Let Mazin Nnamdi Kanu go home so that we can have peace. Freeing Nnamdi Kanu tomorrow latest will be the path for enduring peace. So I commend the Nigerian judiciary. I commend the courage exhibited by the judges that ruled on this matter, and I appeal on the federal government, and in particular our dear President Mohamed Buhari, it's time for Nnamdi Kanu to go home. It's time.
Was the spokesman of the Coalition of United Political Parties, Imo Ikenga Ugochinyere, speaking on the appellate court ruling on Nnamdi Kanu. Well, he has made his appeal. Want to believe that those he was referring to will hear him. All right. Yesterday, when the news broke, almost pretty late, story we heard was that there was wide jubilation in the southeast on Thursday following the appeal court judgment, which quashed the terrorism charges preferred against the leader of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Across parts of southeastern states, people celebrated openly on hearing the reports that the court had discharged Kanu, who has been in custody since June 2021 when he was arrested in Kenya and brought to Nigeria to face prosecution for leading an outlawed organization and clamoring for the Republic of Biafra. However, there are strong indications that the federal government may appeal the judgment of the Court of Appeal. So let's start this way. How did you people receive the judgment yesterday?
Thank you so much, my brother. It's actually we are happy to have that kind of judgment from the Court of Appeal. First of all, I must commend the courage of the learned justice of the Court of Appeal for speaking out, for as in interpreting the law, because judgment was based on the facts, laws, and evidence presented before the Court of Appeal. And thankfully, in the course of the ruling judgment, it was Nikki Toby, JSC, who delivered part of the concurrent judgment, made it clear that they are not interested in diatribe discussions going on social media or people's opinions of social media. That this judgment is being delivered based on the facts, evidence, and laws before them. So I must commend their courage for giving a sound and erudite judgment of such nation in a country such as Nigeria, where justices are being intimidated and oppressed by the executives, where some of them are their beck and call and carries out their wish. So we are immensely grateful to them, most importantly. And that's why it came as a surprise to many people, including the federal government of Nigeria, and some people, that such judgment will be delivered, because they were thinking that we'll go there, probably the appeal will be dismissed. But if you were there for over 3 hours, the judgment was read, you understand that judgment is watertight. They visited, extensively dealt in all issues presented before them, and also reconciling with the provision of extant international laws on extradition proceedings and extraordinary condition. So the judgment is watertight. It discussed virtually everything, letter by letter, word by word. So I must commend them, and we are so happy, particularly that the matter has ended, because the judgment is very clear. The court made a declaration yesterday order that, apart from the fact that the court allowed the appeal, first of all, on the merit, the court set aside the decision of the lower court and consequently struck out the remaining 7-count charge. Now, in the eyes of the law and before the lower court, there is no other charge pending against Nnamdi Kanu today. Charge number CA ABJ CR ABJ/CR/383/2015 between FRN and Nnamdi Kanu was led to death yesterday, having this remaining 7-count charge having been struck out. And court proceeded to bar any subsequent proceedings, criminal indictment against Wendy Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on the ground of the gross violation of his rights and gross violation of extant international laws on extradition proceedings, and particularly in the manner in which he was abducted in Kenya, because the court consistently the word abduction kidnapping, featured in judgment consistently. So we are not talking about arrest in Kenya. The court found for us that Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya because of the manner in which he was abducted and extraordinary rendition to Nigeria. It's a very fundamental issue. And it's more so when the federal government, we have subject matter. Particularly, we have Article 12, sub 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. We also have Section 15 of the Legislation Act 204, Law LFN 204. These are laws domesticated and ratified by the Nigerian government. We also have OAU Convention on Prevention and on prevention of and combating of terrorism. These are laws Nigeria also ratified in 204. So they are under a mandatory obligation to obey the terms of laws they entered into. And these laws are in accord that they cannot enter into the territory of a sovereign state to abduct a citizen because you want to prosecute him. You want him to face a charge in your country. The law, or they prohibited it. They prohibited any detention arising therefrom or trial in the first place. They are all in one accord that you must subject the person to extraordinary extradition proceeding before finding, because the court over there has to find whether there's a merit in your claims in the first place. So let me allow you, because I don't know other questions you have to ask me. Or if I can continue.
Of course, let's just take it by bit.
Okay.
And then the office of the Attorney General came out to say that, well, the court discharged Nnamdi Kanu, but the court did not acquit him. Can we now make a distinction between that their position of acquit and then discharge? Maybe for those of us who are laymen to understand better.
Thank you so much. What happened in court, the Judgment of Court of Appeal yesterday, is even more than discharged and acquitted. Let me put it in this simpler form. Let me put in a manner that the layman on the street to understand the language we are using in this context. With greatest respect to the Office of Attorney General of the Federation and his ranks, I am of the firm view that by his position is in total disconnect with the position of the standard law. However, let me just tell this thing. Granted that conventionally, when a defendant is acquitted in a matter, it may not be a total bar to subsequent prosecution. In exceptional cases, that is law, that is conventional. But in this case, this charge is one thing. Now, the court proceeded to bar High Court. I hope you're getting the point I'm making. To bar High Court from further conducting any form of criminal trial or indictment on only Ndumaz and Nnamdi Kanu. So it's more than acquittal. On the ground that the circumstance that led to his abduction in Kenya and subsequent extraordinary rendition, forceful rendering to Nigeria, has not been inquired into. And it was done in gross violation of extant international laws, which have enumerated, which Nigeria is a state party to. Now, this is fundamental. But that it cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. And apart from the fact that court review other grounds of appeal, which also brought, but portion to this gross violation of the laws is that bar further subsequent proceedings, criminal trial about. The fact that the remaining 7-count charge has been struck out it's a different thing altogether. Now, even if you said, okay, 7-count charge has been entirely struck out, that you want to initiate another criminal proceedings against you, okay, let me go and probably file a different charge now against you. So that charge, let it go. The court say you cannot file. Are you getting me? The pronouncement of the court is clear. That you cannot file. You cannot even commence any further criminal trial against him. So there's a fundamental violation of law. Extant international laws have admitted. The court said, first of all, if they has wanted to work, if they want to operate within the confines of law, they were ordinarily subjected into extradition proceedings over there. That is fundamental. Now, that brought us back to what happened in his house in 2017. Because one thing led to another. This is a person that was granted bail sometime in April 2017 and went home. Now was preparing for a trial, full trial, that had been adjourned to 17th of October 2017. He has passed through the rudiments, has passed through pre-trial conference and briefings. We're preparing for trial, getting set to get the ball rolling. He has also announced to the world that he's coming to court with about 1 million of his supporters. I can beat my chest and tell you that Nnamdi Kanu was ready to be in court. Now, assuming without considering to the fact that in the course of enjoying the bail granted him by the court, that he committed any offense done to law. The conventional practice, which we are very familiar with here, is that the federal government will wait until he comes to court. A date has been fixed for him to be in court. You wait until he comes to court. Once he comes to court, probably at the end of proceedings, you can arrest him in court, outside the court, and investigate him on the fresh new alleged offenses committed, and amend the charge. Now, taking walls to his house is simple. The motive behind the invasion of his premises on the September 10th, 2017 and September 14th, 2017 is nothing because they want to eliminate. No. Because he has committed no offense unto law. Their case is weak. Their case is not supported by any proof evidence. Bogus allegations against him, which they know they cannot establish against him. So what they now thought it wise, according to them, in their own contract, that the best thing to do is for them to eliminate him. So on 10th of September, 5 persons were killed in his premises. Then they didn't succeed in getting entrance to his premises at Afadoki Beg. Then on September 14th, they launched full-bloody onslaught in his home. And in the process, killed over 28 innocent and unarmed civilians. The record was made available, the full record was made available to us yesterday. There are about 35 people killed in his premises. We have their particulars and names. We are going to court also again to challenge the federal government and the military. About 35 persons killed. We are talking about 28. There are now about 35 persons with their full particulars. Up to today, the families have not been able to recover their corpses. So now, the essence of the motive behind the bloody onslaught invasion of his home on 17th of September 2017 was nothing. Or 14th of September 2017 was nothing because they want to kill him. Now, he narrowly escaped by mere act of providence and eventually found himself in state of exile. Listen to me carefully. When he eventually arrived in Israel, he did what they call a deposed affidavit of facts, stating in clear terms what transpired, what happened in his home, what he witnessed, evidence of eyewitness, direct evidence of the person who witnessed the incident. Stated it in black and white. Even in that affidavit evidence he deposed to in the state of Israel before a notary public, he made an undertaking therein that he's ready to come back to Nigeria to face his trial. But he won court protection, let the court indemnify, assured him of protection of his life. Now we'll consequently file this affidavit of facts before the court, inviting the court to now inquire into what happened in his house on September 14th that led to the killing of over 35 persons in his home. That application was filed since 2017. Every subsequent proceeding adjournment, I will be bringing it to the attention of the court because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to go into other things that happened in court afterwards. It was this year that court had it. Now, what the state will have done ordinarily in a Senate climb, a state that have respect for constitutional authority, that have for rule of law, is to subject him to extradition proceedings. Right? Then, at the end of the proceedings, because it's not automatic that even when he's present, is subjected to extradition proceedings, they will bring him here. No. You go through trial on allegations were brought against him. If the court in Kenya found him not liable, they will not listen to you. Now, the Kenya government goes have another case against the Kenya government in their own court over there. The Kenya government admitted in the affidavit of facts they filed in court of Kenya, High Court of Kenya, that they legally admitted Nnamdi Kanu in their country. As of today, I speak to you, the government of Kenya is still maintain that Nnamdi Kanu is still in their country. Because there's still evidence before them to show has been removed, has been taken away from the country. There's still evidence before them to show that though I'm talking law, I'm not saying they're not away, but in law, in the act of the law, in accordance with all the process they filed in court, they are not aware. They insisted they are not aware about what happened. They are now they're insisting, maintaining their what they filed in court, and now they're still in
Kenya.
In Kenya. Now, you smuggled him, you abducted him there, took him somewhere, unknown destination, a private residence, subjected him to all forms of torture, severe torture, good 8 days, before smuggling him inside the country. Now, on 29th of July, no, let me just say this. When Nnamdi Kanu was abducted in Kenya on July 19th, you know what happened? The criminal matter, which was just struck out yesterday, was pending because several it has come up because of the COVID-19 and other development in court. Now, these people, the office of Attorney General, went to court on 23rd of July without our knowledge to apply for a date for the matter to be heard. And the court never served us hearing notice. On 23rd of July, they went to court because they were aware that he has been abducted. So we're not aware. So they didn't serve us hearing notice to that effect. And the matter was then adjourned to November 14. So upon being smuggled inside the Nigeria to Nigeria, they now took him to court on 29, also without reference to us. His Lordship Honorable Justice Nyako made an order for him to be remanded in DSS custody. Now, yesterday, a court of superior record, an intermediate court, has made an order that should be released. Note, by the authority of Olusameto against FRN, the Supreme Court has found at parties not observing, respecting court order. And it's no longer the law now, by virtue of this authority, that when an order is made, you apply for stay. No, the court said no, you must obey that order before coming to Supreme Court or coming to court appeal. I'll give you a case in point. Fueling last week, or thereabout, ASU went on appeal against an interlocutory order made by National Industrial Court. They want an appeal. And the appeal court said no. You cannot be in contempt of my order of court and want us to intervene. Go and obey that order. They say obey before complain. So what's the analysis or the position of Attorney General of the Federation, with greatest respect to his rank and office, has no basis and foundation in law. As far as we are concerned today, there's no pending charge against Nnamdi Kanu. And the Court of Appeal has barred them. Because by Court of Appeal declaring that no court has reason to entertain any charge against him, even lower court, without first of all looking into the manner in which he was brought in here. And court has declared the manner in which has brought it here as unconstitutional and illegal. So the lower court has nothing to say again. They can't go back to that to the lower court again. What I'm going to say, the upper court, the lower court has declared the abduction and subsequent extraordinary rendition to Nigeria illegal and unconstitutional, and lambasted the state government for the executive recklessness, for taking laws into their hands. And now the court also observed in their ruling, that there's a law, Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and 2013 was clear on acts classified as act of terrorism, violation of international laws, which federal government is state party to, amount to act of terrorism. Going to Kenya to abduct Nnamdi Kanu and rendition him unlawfully rendition to Nigeria is also act of terrorism against. By so doing, the state has committed act of terrorism, even under Section 2, Sub 3 F of 2022 Terrorism Prevention and Amendment Act.
Kenya can also sue Nigeria for
so we're now talking Nnamdi Kanu as he stands today. He's a victim of terrorism. So the Nigerian state has also committed act of terrorism against Nnamdi Kanu in law and facts. So we have several cases against them, and now don't forget, we have series of cases before the international court campaign against the Nigerian government, and you know one of the requirements of some of their legislation of their procedure is that most times they will insist on local remedies being exhausted. And in this case, they are waiting for a definite pronouncement of court to deal with this government. I'm advising the Attorney General to be properly guided. The only thing within circumstance is to do whatever is humanly possible to ensure that he's released within the possible time. So can salvage the already battered image of this country. And if I were him, I don't need to be informed or amended. I have tendered my resignation letter by yesterday. I would have simply tendered my resignation letter in a Senate climb. In a Senate climb, where rules of law is supreme, where we practice constitutional democracy. You have tendered a resignation letter yesterday. Because his advice contributed in the commission of the crime, that crime against humanity. He cannot pretend ignorance of it. He cannot deny that fact. Because if he had advised them properly, they would have done that. Because he was busy granting press conference after he was abducted and extraordinary detention to Nigeria. And he will not claim ignorance of the principle of extraordinary rendition, abduction, extraordinary rendition. Because he has already authored, he has already written a forward on material and cases and material and extraordinary rendition, thereby sanctioning the content of that book, which dealt extensively on the principle of extraordinary rendition, which it's clearly stated in that book, it's a crime against humanity.
All right, let's go on a short break and hear a response again from counsel also to Nnamdi Kanu, Mike Ozekhome, SAN, and let's look at that, and we'll return to what next Nnamdi Kanu one would have thought. Maybe by today we would have heard that he's been released. But let's listen to SAN Mike Ozekhome.
Come forward, let us see.
Let me tell you how I celebrate God best. Like this. It is God. Jah Jehovah. Omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipresent. Amen. The same yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen. The Alpha and Omega. Amen. The beginning and the end. Amen. The first and the last. Amen. The unmoved mover. Amen. The uncaused cause. Amen. He who decides and no one can say no. Amen. Once he opens the door, no one can lock it back. Amen. I thank you, Lord. I thank you, God. I give you all the thanks and glory. Amen. In full adoration. Amen. Now and forever. Amen. And ever. And ever. Amen. Amen. I thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
For getting Nnamdi Kanu out.
Yes, Lord.
There will be peace in Nigeria.
Yes, Lord.
There will be peace in Igbo land.
Amen.
Amongst the Indigbos. Yes, amongst the allied Igbos. Amen. By the grace of God. Amen. Other ethnic groups in Nigeria, we have some breathing space. Amen. That Nigeria belongs to all of us. Amen. God bless this court. Amen. God bless the judiciary. God bless their judgment. Amen. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. It is only God that can fathom it, because His depth and breadth, His plenitude and amplitude are too wide, too complex for any human understanding. Nnamdi Kanu was today discharged of all the remaining 7 count charge, which 7 counts were retained by the Federal High Court in its judgment in April this year. I said it before, the court tried in striking out 8 of the 15 counts charge, but it did not go far. It shied away from striking out the remaining 7 counts. Based on that, we appealed on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu that the lower court was wrong. There was one fundamental issue on which the court today anchored its judgment, this intermediate court. And that is that the lower court never evaluated the mountain of evidence placed before it regarding the forceful capture, kidnap, torture, and extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya back to Nigeria on the 26th of June, 2021. The lower court glossed over it. We placed this before the lower court in more than 10 paragraphs of solid materials to show the circumstances under which Nnamdi Kanu was forcibly abducted, kidnapped, blindfolded, tortured, and then rendered back to Nigeria extrajudicially, extra-legally, against the laws of Kenya, against the laws of Nigeria, against all international instruments.
All right, that was Mike Ozekhome, counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, SAN. And still on the program is Barrister Sir Ifeanyi Ejiofor, Senior Legal Counsel to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, who is also the lead counsel for IPOB. He's been in the studio trying to make clarification on the judgment yesterday in the light of the statement from the Office of the Accountant General saying that Nnamdi was discharged but not acquitted. And one other thing they also said was that even though you've tried to allude to it, that, well, he was the court dealt with one issue, which was extradition, that there are still other issues before the lower court. And one is tempted to ask, what are the other issues before the lower court?
There is no other issue before the lower court.
By this pronouncement?
Not at all. The issue there's no other matter before the lower court. Can you count two before counting one? The answer is no. You see, you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. The fulcrum of that charge, the jurisdiction of the court to hear the charge, to even proceed, is embedded on that first issue resolved by the court. You cannot just build something on empty space. As in, you cannot place something on nothing and expect that thing to stand. It cannot stand. There must be a foundation.
What of the issue of jumping bail?
Now, those issues have been put to rest. I don't think you understand the point I was struggling to make.
I did.
Now, let me clear this thing because for avoidance of doubt. I said because his position, I don't think he has gone through that judgment of the court. I advise him to read judgment of the court. Because if he has meticulously gone through the judgment of the court in between lines, you understand the position of the dimension of the matter. There is no issue before the lower court. Again, the matter has ended. The charge has been struck out in its totality. Now, remember that the 5-count charge that was pending since 2017 was amended, suspended, amended upon his being rendered to Nigeria. It was amended, right? Now, from 5-count charge to 7-count charge amendment, from 7-count amendment to 15-count charge amendment, and in all of this amendment, we are consistently challenging the judicial record to proceed on several grounds. And eventually, on the 5th, the court struck out. It's one charge. //CR/10 between Federal Republic of and that charge was buried yesterday. It cannot be resuscitated. The court not yesterday. The court don't stop at bearing the charges. The court made that court has no jurisdiction to hear that charge any or any form of indictment, because brought into this country offends all who Nigeria is a state party. It's not a military regime. You must. So he can never not against him tomorrow. You can. How are you from doing that? That is simply it is in the court. He was quick to respond, and the law is clear. You can't no doubt about it, but you must obey the order of the court available to us today. You must obey the order of the court. Release him. Away, go to Supreme Court. We'll come there and join meet you. So the point that again, by the pronouncement of Court of Appeal yesterday, 383-2015 was died yesterday. He died yesterday in Abuja here. AG was away. Even the was part of the people that buried the child. We buried the child yesterday. Yesterday, across the world, we in conducting the funeral services. After burying the child, and it was done yesterday. So the point, it can't be brought to life again. It has died. It died a natural death. Now it's also need to be emphasized that it can't even find a fresh child again. It can't give birth to another child. It can't. The God say it cannot do it. I'm telling you, by erudite jurists. They are men of letters.
Let us now ask when
the funeral ceremony is still ongoing. In case you want to join us this evening,
when is
no business in the list of Nnamdi Kanu. What they need to do is I will collect my client. I will pick him up. Even say no to me. They detained Nnamdi Kanu on 29. Was released on Monday based on Court of Appeal on the 13th of October. Choose. I can't select order to obey, and it is. It's a big order from Kabeshi, other from the Oni.
All right, let's listen to maybe our for you or comments or observations to make.
No, I'm not. The audio is so bad. I'm not hearing you, but I can see myself on the screen. Why not let me come back? Come back to me later. If you are hearing me, come back to me.
Oh, well, let's hear from you, Obi.
It's bad. I can't hear the most of for the past 10 minutes. What the attorney has been saying is coming in and out, in and out. So, but since we don't want to waste our time, let's keep on rolling while they are fixing the audio. This is a very big win for us, and I'm not going to be sentimental for the Nigerian justice system. I applaud the judges that take the courage. Maybe they did allow the executive branch of government to influence them like they normally do. You know, in they have three branches of government and they are all independent. But in Nigeria, all the branches of government are being controlled by the executive, which is wrong. I think I am starting to be corrected. I think it's the same Buhari administration before was the time Omaridiko was, they tried to abduct Omaridiko in London. I don't know if I'm starting to be corrected. Even to tell you how Nigeria is good in copying, but they are not good in pasting. CIA, American CIA, they do the same thing sometimes, but they don't bring the people that they kidnap or they picked up on the street in another country to America because it's illegal. You can't do that. They take him to the third world country or whatever and put the person there without anybody knowing. They won't even make it public. But Nigeria, they have seen everybody finish. They don't obey the law. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I said the CIA, they do the same thing. They go to the street, pick people up, but they don't bring them back to the United States because it's against the law, international law. You can't do that. They pick people, they go to the world country, third world country where there is no law, kangaroo countries, and keep the person there. But Nigeria is a big country. Okay, I don't know if you hear the one I said about the judges, how courage they take, and they refuse for the executive to influence them. God will bless those judges. I agree with the attorney there with you about what they did because I grew up in Omai, but I'm from Imo State, but I was born and brought up in Omai. I know them very well. Even some of his cousins are my schoolmates and my friends. I know his house as we speak today. So I see what the military did there. You know, so for my own advice here is, since he's his attorney and he sees him every day, he should advise him immediately they leave him. If at all the government will obey the court order, which remember yesterday when we were discussing about it, I told you, I said, are you sure that the government is going to be able to obey the court order? They're going to find a way to delay, but this one they will lose, whether they like it or not. Chukwu Abiyama will continue to follow the guy. So what I'm trying to say again is, I have a question for the attorney. The question goes like this. What are you guys doing to make sure or to see through that the federal government compensates the family of the people that were killed in Omar? It was 20-something before. From what you said now, it increases to 30-something. What are you guys doing seriously to compensate the of the deceased people? And if so, based on what you say, they have not even recovered it to give them a benefit burial or to bury the corpse. I think the government probably sees the corpse. I don't know, but due to the audio, I can't get it clearly, but I kind of understand when you said something like that. So what are you guys working on getting them to take care of those people, because it's very, very important. And for the Kenyan government claiming, I don't know, that I know you know it don't count, because Kenyan government is supposed to be held reliable and responsible for their action. It's a planned deal that they did. So I will appreciate if you and the son that is involved in this case get involved and sue them, including the British, because the British did not act as their citizen. They did. I know they tried to send a representative, but he was kicked out of the court because we all follow the case every day, because it affects our business, it affects us, it affects our heart, because he's been done wrongly. So, including Britain, Kenya, Nigeria need to be sued. Nnamdi Kanu will be a billionaire. I know.
We seem to be having a little bit of interruption. We
I
seem
think
to
it's
be having a little bit of interruption. We can, your line is coming and going off.
I think it's from your end because when he was talking, that's what we observing. That's why James refused to talk because when he was talking, he's coming in and out. So maybe I will stop here until when they clear it from your end, then we can continue.
All right. Okay, thank you. Maybe he will need to respond to the question you asked now before we go ahead. He asked about what are you people doing in terms of to compensate maybe the family of the disease, that the number you've told us now has increased from 28 to 35.
I've actually probably touched that aspect of the question. But the fact is that we have difficulty before now in identifying the identities, the particulars, names, and addresses of the victims. So, which took us a long time. And before now, people are afraid of coming up to give you names and or whatnot. So, but eventually, we'll be able to gather them. I may stop at that and assure him that we're doing everything possible now before the court to ensure that they are adequately compensated. My strategy will not be discussed in this platform. That has been my style. I don't discuss my legal strategies, what I'm doing in court, I'm going to go about it. So, but they will see results in the course of time. Thank you so much.
All right. James, can you join us now, James?
Much.
Thank you.
Good. This is a case of criminality on the part of the government we are addressing. As I said yesterday, it happened to Umar Odiko, and the rest is now history as far as that guy is concerned. Why did it take so long for this judgment to be delivered? This is what we should look into. And the lower court, why was the case not struck off immediately? Before you become a judge in a Nigerian court, you should be well read and well grounded in the law. So for them to take this action at this time, I suspect that a lot of funny things must have happened behind the scene. We are aware that Mr. Buhari is not a well-read man. There's no doubt about that. Who were those in the government who advised him to take this line of action? And what are the punishments designed to discipline these people? Nobody is saying anything about that. If nothing is done to discipline these people, it means they connived to do what they are doing. All right. Now, the federal government should see this problem or this issue as a face-saving opportunity to rescue them from shame over a political issue. This Nnamdi Kanu's problem is a political problem. It's not a criminal problem. And not until the government start to see it from that perspective, we will not make any progress. If they must have realized that if he's convicted, the conviction is going to generate formidable problems, the election will not hold, and from the look of things, the desire of the people of Eastern Nigeria to exit the country is waxing stronger. No matter the draconian measure, the more draconian measures they take, the more determined they become to exit the country. And the whole world seems to be seeing things from their point of view. Now, if this is not a criminality of government, I still remember the case of Anthony Nahoro, who was deported from the UK. They followed normal standard procedures, and the UK government released him to Nigeria, to stand trial. When Sunday Igboho was arrested in Benin, they wanted to apply this criminality, this terrorism, a style of dealing with issues, till the government of Benin stood their ground that this is an international matter. And the matter went to court, and Igboho was not extradited to Nigeria. Actually, Butari already supplied an aeroplane to fly this guy to Nigeria surreptitiously. So these things they are just doing is just a game. What I'm suspecting is this. the judges should try to extricate themselves from political matters. From what I want to believe that the government must have gone behind the scene to tamper with the judicial process to secure the release of this guy because the matter is getting out of hand. If not, I do not see why the Nigerian judicial system should allow this matter to go on up till now, and now they are telling us they are releasing him. Now, lastly, I want to point out something. Despite the mountain of evidence they produced before the lower court, they refused to release this guy. The matter got to higher, what we call jurisdiction before they are thinking of releasing him. Now, let me quickly mention something. The bias against the Igbos, we just have to do something about it if the country is to remain one. The reason is this. As I said yesterday, there is a section of this country, or there are some people in a section of this country that are clamoring for the establishment of a caliphate. That is even worse than secession. They want to replace the government, the administrative structure of this country with another one and do away with what is in existence right now. Their offense is more serious than what Nnamdi Kanu is alleged to have committed. But nothing is being done to these people because of the apparent bias against the Igbos in Nigeria. When I was a little boy, we were brought up to believe that by nature the Igbo man is, he is a man to be hated. When they tell us tales by moonlight night, they always tell us the very bad aspects of the Igbos. The Igbo man did this, the Igbo man did that. But when we grew up as adults, we could not find anything wrong with these guys. They are just like any other person. You have good men among them or bad men among them, just like any other ethnic group. Now, the bias against them must stop. Let me cite an example to show that they are really biased against the Igbos. In April 2019 or thereabout, there was a lady they called Zainab Aliu who traveled to Saudi Arabia on Lesser Hajj. While she was in a hotel room, the immigration men went there to arrest her after passing through the airport. The luggage, the excess luggage checked in her name contained 2,000 packets of tramadol, tablets. This is an illegal substance in Saudi Arabia. When this lady was arrested, immediately the federal government swung into action. And the president of the Republic, Buhari, ordered the Attorney General to intervene in the matter. And they secured the release of this girl and she returned to Nigeria. Now, that is a case in Saudi Arabia. There are thousands of cases of Nigerians all over the world running into very nasty problems, and the federal government completely washed their hands off them. We can no longer count the number of Nigerians they've executed in Thailand, in Vietnam, so many countries of the world. Many are languishing in jails. The federal government refused to do anything. But here is somebody from a section of the country involved in such, accused of such a terrible crime. The federal government of Nigeria, without waiting for the legal process of Saudi Arabia to take its course, they intervened instantly. In fact, they obstructed the course of justice. They perverted justice. And at the end of the day, this girl was freed. So who is going to convince me that the federal government is not sectional? Who can convince me that the federal government is not biased in handling the affairs of Nigerians? You see, all we are asking for in Nigeria is very simple: equal rights and justice. If I'm involved in drug trafficking and the penalty is death, fine. I face a firing squad because that's the penalty. I have no objection. But if they are executing me because I'm a Nigerian, or drug was found somewhere, and because I'm a Nigerian, I'm within the same premises, so they assume that I'm the one, it is the duty of the federal government to come to my rescue. And for as long as they are not doing that, never you expect any Nigerian to be patriotic. It's now every man to himself and God for us all. Please tell the gentleman there, I owe him a bottle of brandy. My pocket is not very deep.
When are you sending it?
Yeah, my pocket is not deep. My pocket is not deep, but I owe him a bottle of brandy, Napoleon brandy for that matter.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
James.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Engineer Femi, let's hear you joining us from the nation's capital.
uh, the gentleman over there. You're
Thank you
welcome
so much.
to our humble assembly.
Thank you.
Can I go ahead, Victor?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead, Femi.
Victor, yes. First off, um, when this man was kidnapped and brought in, you saw the record speed with which Malami, as if he was the one that brought him in, stood by and was talking. And then I was alarmed, like, what is that Attorney General doing here? When Odili's house was raided or evaded, we never saw Malami coming out to hold justice or to speak in respect of the hallowed chamber and the occupant of that chamber that seems to hold democracy and judiciary with respect. We did not hear his voice. Even when a purported written letter from him instructing a judge to go and do, giving permission, instructing a judge to give permission for the search to be done in a house. Till today, where is the case? We don't know. Um, you remember when this book go around people and how they are trying to form caliphate and take over and occupy, and then you keep hearing PDP and APC trading words on who wants to occupy this and that. Have you ever heard IPOB occupying any particular place or decide the education cannot run in a place because they are taking over the place? No. But then IPOB becomes a federal government personal problem, because the legality of it is still amazing me. Is it not thunder striking twice? The first time, Omar Diko, who was head of state, the same president. Now again, he's done it again, wanting to kidnap someone from that place. Is it not inhuman?
Femi,
Network.
it looks as if
We lost him.
we lost the Femi's call there. Femi, we are sorry. Maybe much later we'll get across to you. Kwakwanso is joining us from the
And started
US.
saying that no, it's
Kwakwanso,
not
let's
over,
hear
it's
you.
not over, as if it's the personal vendetta or a personal fight between him and Nnamdi Kanu, because we need to begin to interrogate whether there are issues between them, personal issues that we don't know. 2 minutes after the judgment was given, you have not seen the full judgment, which they said they will post the next day. Then you started talking about no, he's going to go there. That's, you know, when he took one case, this electoral bill, to the court one time, and then they struck it out and said this is incompetent and waste of time of the justice. When he put Buhari's name and his name and saying they are the ones that are speaking against this thing. The trial judge, Enyang or something, was embarrassed by it. Like, are you serious? As if he did not read law at all. And it becomes personal. It has left justice and legality. If the court has said, let this person go, let the person go. If you have other issues, bring them up and let's begin to see it. Is it not rule of law that we call democracy? It looks to me like the military is more of people that respect rule of law than democracy. And then this military, though they are the one that is the head of state and made them like they used to be when military take over. So they seem to have their body language and every other thing determines what happens across board. But this one, the justice system and judiciary have been bold enough. Why can't we allow democracy to thrive? Is it not obvious that the Igbo has been marginalized in this country? Igbo man, Hausa man, and Yoruba man fought for independence. It's like three people went to get a deal, partnership to get a business, and then you say one of them can never become the head. Meanwhile, the other two have run the country aground. And then you say they should keep being partners. And this guy comes and air a political opinion and is agitating for his people. What is wrong in addressing the issues? Has the issues of the civil war been addressed? Have we called ourselves and spoken to ourselves and on that basis form constitution or political arrangements that brings everybody on the table? Have we done that? Is that not why we're still having crisis till tomorrow in every political party? Muslim, Christian, Muslim, North, South, this, that. Is that not what I still have that disorganized system? Is that what you see abroad? And that is why people don't focus on the issues. Emiloko on here today, unifier tomorrow. Who wants to unify a system that is already unified? What kind of commentary are we seeing when the country is as a precipice? Nothing is working. Nobody takes responsibility. Instead, it's Nnamdi Kanu that is their problem. I don't understand this. The guy that has been funding Boko Haram, the UAE gave us 6 names. Have you seen any of the names? Do we know their faces? Have they seen? This is over a year and 6 months that UAE gave us those names. Yet we have not seen them in court. Or is our court not able to try these people? This guy that they picked up at Discharge waiting with his family, why can't we see him in court? Nnamdi Kanu was taken to court almost the same day he was kidnapped and brought in. Why can't we see the commandant of Boko Haram that have stayed in Kuje prison that they released and told us that the jail was broken in and they escaped? Why for all the years they've been in that prison, we have not seen them have a session in court and then let's even hear the argument? No, we would not. It's not possible. Why is it that Gumi will speak things that will turn this country upside down, yet will not see Malami come out to defend it? Nothing like that. And then we make ourselves a laughing stock in the eyes of the world because they see these things. Even and my problem is, what examples are we living in the sands of time for these children to look up to and say, yes, this is how our country works? Nothing.
All right, Femi. Let's give others a chance. Thank you very much, Femi.
Thank you so much,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Paulie Wunze, let's hear you joining us from the US.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Victor. Barrister, once again, kudos to you. Thank you very much, sir, for what you do.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Mine is quick question. What is the penalty or the consequences to the federal government for the kidnapping? And what is the compensation, for Mazi? And more importantly, Barrister, what does this judgment mean to Mazi and Igbo and Ndi Igbo going forward? Because you can agree with me that the release or the judgment did not address the root cause of the problem, the agitation, and the the struggle for judgment or self-determination, if you will. What does this judgment, what does it mean going forward? And again, do you think that this release, there is a political attachment to it? Knowing that the election is coming, that is where I'm going. Political attachment to the 2023 election. Do you think there's any political gain that the federal government wants to gain from this release? Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll take the questions much later. You'll respond. So let's take all of them
together.
All right, Kwakwanso, let's hear you. Kwakwanso is also joining us from the US. Kwakwanso?
Yes.
Am I audible now? I'm sorry. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Go ahead.
Good afternoon and congratulations to Mr. Barrister Victor. But
am I the lawyer?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Well, you know what?
But it's funny.
But Barrister FI, I'm gonna take away a little bit. Are you Concosia or what's the red cap for?
Okay, he's asking you the red cap. I hear about Pansia movement.
I'm a high chief.
He's a high chief. A red cap chief.
Okay. Yes, Victor always say, what an interesting time we are living in, we should count ourselves very fortunate. I can imagine 20 or 40 years from now, if we are lucky to be alive, well, we'll be analyzing the politics of today.
So bad.
It's a very interesting time for our politics to be involved in. Yes, it's I don't know. I don't know what to say to that space because it's not clear. I mean, I totally understand what our barrister is talking about, but going by what the communique of coming out from Attorney General of the Federation and the National Security Council meeting, so that means they're saying that they would think about it. Does that mean that they would think if they comply with the court order or not? And I think even the NBA too, I think there's also a meeting within that space too. And yes, I mean, what is going on? So all I can say at this point, I think at the end of the day, it might boil down to both parties trying to exploit that political option that even the Onahazy were earlier, was asking for. So I think that is where I see this whole case is going to end up. They will trying to see if they will find a political option. What are they? But my point is that if that is the last option, what is going to be the argument from the federal government? What are they going to be but what do they have to bargain with? I mean, if they all agree that Nnamdi Kanu is also all he's asking for is just to be treated fair. However you want to disagree with him, but I don't think he's somebody who is interested in political power. You know, but it will be very interesting how the next couple of days we turn out. But again, I'm looking at it in the, with all the sense of politics now. Are they trying to also create another narrative within the campaign train? What is going to be the response of people like Peter Obi? What is the effect to him, particularly his movements? I mean, the there's a segment of the population that believe that most more than half of his followership are Nnamdi Kanu followers. So how is the response going to affect that followership? Is he going to side with them wholeheartedly? How is the other side going to respond to it? So all these are things that I'm looking at, and I just hope at the end of the day, the country called Nigeria win.
All right. Thank you very much, Kwakwanso. Samuel is Samuel still with us? Samuel, are you still with us?
Mr. Victor.
Yeah. You are joining us from the US or UK?
From the US. And let me quickly contribute. But before I do that, I will have to say a big God bless you to Barrister Ifani Ejiofor, and I hope I got the name correctly. I should actually get that name correctly. Unfortunately, we live in a nation where prestigious and respected institutions are no longer respected to some caliber of men. But let me still believe that the legal institution has some respect to it. If it does, and if you are not already a senior advocate of Nigeria, I honestly will wholeheartedly endorse you. I'm telling you, I can get a 1 million man signature to endorse that Barrister Ifani is he is more qualified to be a senior advocate of Nigeria, unless we are all waiting where we will have something more beautiful, senior advocate of Biafra. Having said that, Mr. Victor, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. Let me start by saying this. I've always commented in this our gathering, like somebody called it, that Nigerians are insulted. Honestly speaking, I had to leave the country like 5 years ago because I truly got tired of feeling insulted. This is a blatant insult on our intelligence, on our exposure, on the fact that we have many senior advocates of Nigeria. I look at the legal system, how much of a mess it is. With all the senior advocates of Nigeria, we have professors of law, we have professors of this, professors of that, we have PhD holders. We are 200 and how many million people, that greater percentage of those people are intellectuals. How are we all comfortable being insulted by the ruling class? Number one, we are ruled by the less of us. A situation where the better is ruled by the lesser. They expose these rules ruled by the illiterate. How do we stomach that as a nation? And they tell us, oh, Nigeria can take anything, we can stomach anything, we can accommodate anything. And as a result, they keep feeding us with rubbish and we are eating it with our 32 wide open. It doesn't make sense to me. And I pray for the day Nigerians will come to the realization that this insanity must come to an end. Let me bring it down to Nnamdi Kanu. What offense did he commit? People thought his offense was talking about the actualization of the Biafran state. I do not think that is an offense. Why do I say so? Check this out. Nigeria is signatory to the fact that a people can advocate to be separate. Nigeria signs that. Nigeria believes in the self-actualization of a particular group of people. Number one, okay, let's hold that down one side. Let's move a little bit further. Is it not amazing that whenever our president goes to give a speech, I believe it's in the UN or whatever gathering they have, he will advocate for a particular country to have their independence, a particular country to, he is advocating for this particular Islamic country, exactly the same thing Nnamdi Kanu is advocating for the Igbo people. The same thing. A president who picked a man and put him in prison in a most bushy way, if there's an English like that, like a bushman, no rule of law, no respect to civility, nothing. You picked a man like an Aburu from another country, brought him into your country, put him in a prison. Then you go out to make a speech and you are advocating for a particular Islamic country to gain their freedom. Which kind of double standard is this? Why are we feeling this insulted that we are not even seeing it as an insult? But I don't think that is the problem of Nnamdi Kanu, because Nigeria agrees that such a thing is possible. I do not think it's a taboo for a people to say we want to be on our own. I do not think, if it is a taboo, nations will not come together and sign for such a thing to be a possibility. So it's not a taboo for people to say, okay, let's be on our own. We don't even need to fight. Why don't we sign? Why don't we vote? Let us all vote to it. Referendum. Let's vote. If people say they don't want to go, why not? I'll drop my case. Nnamdi Kanu, I've heard him say that. If Igbo say they don't want Biafra, I'll drop my case and find something to do with my life. Now, that man is not a purposeless man. That man has a lot of things to do. I don't think he's a man that is jobless and is trying to use Igbo people to gain popularity. Far from it. That man, as his father is late, is justifiably so the next Royal Highness of his village. That man has many other things he can do with his life. A man of his intelligence cannot be despondent, but he is fighting for what he believes is a just cause. But look at the way he's treated. I don't know if I should even quickly say that in the same country, there's a northern policeman that FBI was interested in. Have we asked how far with the northern policeman? FBI is interested in this man. The country is protecting him one way, but they are making a show of another person. Double standard, being insulted, and we are all looking. It has to stop. And I'm going to conclude by saying, they have said he was discharged but not acquitted. A lot of people have asked the question that is in the mind of people. Is this politically related? It might look politically related, right? But I'm happy that Nnamdi Kanu is not a man that can be easily compromised. It's not a man that, oh, let's give him money, make a deal with him, bring him out so that he can destabilize P2B. I wish P2B the best of luck. But if we know Nigeria, we will understand why a lady came out and made a prayer saying, may Nigeria not happen to you. If we really know Nigeria,
those people will better even fight than to give P2B this president or an Igbo man this president if we know this nation. I want to beg Nigerians to refuse the insult that is being heaped on us and begin to stand for what is civil. It is not a crime or a taboo that a people want to be together. Heaven should not fall. And on that point, Mr. Victor, I yield back to you.
Thank you. Obi, the network was bad. Let's give Obi 2 minutes to conclude. Then Ifeanyi will respond. Obi, are you still? Let's give you 2 minutes to conclude because of the network then.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What I was saying before the network cut me off is trying to suggest for Barrister Ifeanyi. I don't know because he's a tough man. Not that he's running, but for now, I would suggest he go back to London if at all they're going to let him go. But I know they will, but they want to see what strings can you guys pull. And also, how comes nobody is calling for the resignation of the Attorney General? Because like you said, he is the one that approve this kind of thing. That's why here in America, if such thing happen, heads will roll, like you guys say it in Nigeria there. And my question again, Victor, you can help me write it down. A situation whereby the government refuse to release him. What is next? What would they do? Okay, and another thing, please, when Nnamdi Kanu comes out, which we pray that he comes out within the weekend or the week, can you please advise him not to advise his followers to stop attacking Peter Obi, because we are all the same, and if we keep on fighting each other, that's what the enemy wants: divide and conquer. Because I can see some videos, most of his followers already started talking about him being gay, all kinds of stuff. If we cannot get it this way, we can get it the other way. It's a common sense. God have chosen one of our own to try and get up there for us start fighting each other, even if they have even if they have problem before, or P2B did something before, let them chill for now. Let's see what he can do, if at all they allow him to get in there. So please advise him to talk to his followers to kind of stay away. If they don't want to help for P2B to go forward, let them not try to bring him down, because bringing him down will keep us where we are. And I believe Nnamdi Kanu's goal is because to make Igbo people happy, to make Igbo people get their own share of Nigerian cake. But if we start fighting each other because of one reason or the other, trying to get Biafra, there's something I wanted to say, but I don't want to say it because some people will turn it to another way, that a Igbo man or a Igbo Biafra man was already said it. If we win, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say that. But please, let his followers, which is I am one of his followers, let's just not try to get involved or try to damage him. Thank you, sir, for giving me the time.
Thank you very much. So let me be reeling them out. Let's start with penalty for kidnapping of Nnamdi Kanu. Are you people, what will be the penalty for the federal government for kidnapping Nnamdi, and what are you people going to ask for compensation for his kidnap?
Thankfully, let me make this clarification at this point. Before now, we have commenced civil action against the federal government and also against the AG Federation in the manner to challenge the manner in which Nnamdi Kanu was abducted in Kenya and extraordinary rendition to Nigeria. So, which is in gross violation of international laws. We had actually invited His Lordship, the Federal Court, High Court number 5, where the matter is being had, is assigned. So to interpret 11 sections of international laws which federal government is in breach of. So, and our work has been made easy by the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal yesterday. Now we are going back to the same court. The matter has been adjourned for hearing on the 14th of December 2022 for hearing. issues have been joined by the parties. In fact, it was in that case, it should be in that case that the federal government for the first time opened up to admit before the court that they actually abducted Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. That was for their first admission because throughout the period where before the lower court in the sister case, the matter that was killed yesterday and buried, they never admitted, they never responded to that issue. In fact, the Court of Appeal was not actually impressed with the conduct of the Lordship Honorable Justice Nyako for turning a blind eye to such an important issue, critical issues without resolving it. Because when that issue was raised before the lower court, the federal government never responded to it, never addressed it other than law and facts. They never. So even in Court of Appeal, we also raised it. They never addressed it on law and fact. And unfortunately, when the judgment was delivered at the lower court on our objection to the judicial court to the charge, the court didn't entertain that. It didn't even, in the first place, make finding of facts on that issue. Didn't pronounce on the issue. The court completely skipped it. Then in Court of Appeal, we raised that issue again for determination. And the federal government never responded to that issue again. So now we have filed a separate action to inviting His Lordship Honorable Justice Ekwo to interpret relevant sections of international laws I've just enumerated, which Nigeria is in breach of, arising from the manner in which they abducted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya and extraordinary rendition himself. So, and the interpretation of these laws has been put to rest yesterday, has been resolved by the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal. And we are asking for reparation account of the gross violation of his right in the sum of 50 billion naira. So we are going back to the court on most likely with that pronouncement has 70% resolved the issues we are raising before the court, before the higher lower court. So other strategies will be applied accordingly. So let me stop at that.
Okay, the other one, what does this pronouncement and possible relief?
Well, in the first place, somebody mentioned about the right to self-determination. One of the callers. Right to self-determination is well spelled out under Article 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, Cap A9, Law of Federation 190204. This is a law adopted and ratified as part of our law by Nigerian government, federal government. Now, that provision, that Article 20, is very extant. That right to self-determination is inalienable right. You know what means inalienable right? So, and sacrosanct. So, in the sense of this right, you have not committed any offense under the law. What Nnamdi Kanu is legitimately agitating for is in essence of this right, as provided under this section of the law. It's just a right to self-determination. He has committed no offense. And the federal government knows he has not committed no offense under the law. Let me say this to you. Since 2015, he was arrested when he came to Nigeria and subsequently detained at SSS headquarters before taken to prison and eventually got him released on bail. I can beat my chest and tell you at this point in time that there's no solid charge founded on any of the allegations against him. In fact, as a matter of fact, the charge was then they filed 11 count charge. That was sometime in 2016. And I challenged it. I filed objection on the ground that this evidence attached to the charge cannot establish the bogus offenses allegedly committed by the Nnamdi Kanu. And court found in my favor and consequently struck out 7 count charge out of 11 on it. Before they amended their count, after striking those 7 count charge, they still amended that charge to 5 count charge before it was separated. And even at that, could you believe that the proof evidence being relied upon by the prosecution at the point at that in 2015 is some proof evidence which they are still relying upon today before the charge was yesterday buried? They have nothing against him because he has committed no offense. They are scouting for evidence. They just want to keep him somewhere. So it means much for our people because our people understand he has committed no offense to law and they can see the level of restiveness in our place. So release of Nnamdi Kanu will calm a lot of now. We bring back peace in our land. power in the southeastern states. At least, first of all, Monday start home will be a forgotten issue, and their life will come back to our people. People are sitting at home on Mondays in that south. It's not because they were compelled to do that. That is a demonstration of the love they have for Nnamdi Kanu. I've been to the east during the Monday start home, and I've asked some people questions, and they told me, Ejiofor, look, Oga, Ejiofor, we don't want. We are comfortable staying at home. Some people will kill goat and be playing football. They say they are comfortable staying at home on Monday until Nnamdi is released, without any prompting, without any form of any prompting whatsoever. That will tell you the level of love they have for Nnamdi Kanu. So, could you believe I told you that since yesterday this child was killed and buried, that the funeral is still ongoing? You understand what I was speaking the language you understand? Celebration is still ongoing till now. In the entire southeast, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Abia State, and whatever you call them, for that and all over the world, they're celebrating because somebody has been released. Can't you agree with me that Nnamdi Kanu is a metaphor for Igbo land? It's a symbol of Igbo land. So it means much for our people. Let me use this opportunity to make a clarification. And I will predicate this clarification also by pronouncement or observation made by His Lordship Honorable Justice Nikitobi yesterday when he was about to read his judgment, concurrent judgment. I said it here before, and let me re-emphasize on it. He said that their judgment has no relationship, no connection whatsoever with any form of external influence. The judgment is not predicated on what is being said in the social media by Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. That judgment is based on the fact before them. Now, President Buhari had assured us that he can never interfere with the judicial process. When he was hosted in Ebonyi State, he told the war Igbos, I don't want to get involved. Let the judiciary do their work. Now the judiciary have done their work. His only obligation, the only option lies for him to obey what the judiciary has said. He said, judiciary, do your work. We're not interested in political solution. So the decision of the court of appeal yesterday has nothing to do with any form of politics. Has no political inclination whatsoever. It was purely based on law and facts presented before the court of appeal. And since the president of Nigeria today, President Muhammadu Buhari, has assured us in several of his pronouncements, even when our elders visited him seeking for political solution, he told them that he wants judiciary to do their work. At the higher lower court, his lordship Honorable Justice Nyako did his own work, her own work. Now the intermediate court has done their own work. Nyako did her own work by remanding Nnamdi Kanu in the DSS facility instead of sending him to prison. By reminding him to where he's been solitarily confined for the past 15 months. If I were asked you, DSS facility is here detention, it should be a conventional place to detain a defendant who is facing trial. The answer is no. They remand him there because they want to expose him to torture. Mental, psychological, and emotional torture. He's been subjected to everything. Someone has not been convicted. Now, the intermediate court has said, release him. And Buhari assured us that whatever the court say, they will do it. So first of all, let me clear this air. The judgment of the Court of Appeal yesterday, I will bet my life, I'll bet hit my chest and tell you, where I am at the center of the case. Has nothing to do with any form of political discussion or dialogue whatsoever. It's on its own. It was based on law. It was based on facts. Based on evidence before the court. The judgment is very sound. And I continue to commend the industry of the legislature Court of Appeal put in that judgment. I must commend them. They are very bright. I have not seen such. In fact, our elderly council chief, Mike Ozekhome, made a very wonderful observation yesterday in commending his Lord Justice. That for the 41 years, he had practiced as a lawyer. and 27 years of practice as an advocate, had never encountered such sound, unassailable, and the right judgment. He commented it yesterday. I wish we were in court. We'll not be talking about this. And I'm sorry, I was taken aback and also shocked when the attorney general was quick to respond to a judgment he hasn't seen. The ideal thing for you to say, until when we receive the judgment, we'll give further directives. But for now, we're going to obey the court order. Simple. He was quick, and he will be disappointed by the time we have access to the judgment. He will be disappointed because they were condemned. The actions were condemned by the court. The actions of the parties that participated in this criminal terrorist act, we are all roundly condemned by Justice of the Court of Appeal. By the time you see the judgment, you have a different view. But for now, they must obey the court order. They've assured us they will obey the court order. The president assured us that he will obey the court order. They want judiciary to handle the case. So it means much for Igbo and has no any form of political inclination whatsoever. I can say that authoritatively here.
What next for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu?
Today we are in Court of Appeal for the judgment. We were able to get the satisfactory copy of the order, reload order, which the court made, directing them to release him. We are going to exercise on Monday. The judgment will be available handy on Monday morning. It's ready, but we will have handy on Monday morning. So we're going to serve them the order and also judgment to be on the side of surplusage, because they were in court when the judgment was delivered and order was made. The AG Federation's office was represented by Chief State Council. He was there when the judgment was read. 3 hours judgment. So ordinarily, you have advised them by now that this man should be handed over to me today, because his detention is, even if it's sanctioned by the order of the lower court, assuming it's sanctioned by the order of the lower court, let's believe it's sanctioned by order made by his lordship on the 29th of July 2021. The order became instant yesterday by that pronouncement. So any further detention, and the court prohibited them from further detaining Nnamdi Kanu. The court prohibited them from further detaining him or trying him. So expectedly in a Senate climb, in a country where rules of law rest supreme, they would have called me this morning. SSA would have called me, Jofo, where are you? Come. Please, I want that, don't want that, this. In fact, as a matter of fact, Nnamdi Kanu not supposed to stay in that cell yesterday. They will bring him out for a good treat and put him in one of the rooms and say, let us enjoy, let us probably participate in this in the funeral service of this of death of this thing. And this morning they will call me and say, Jofo, come. I will have taken him this morning in a Senate climb. So we are going to do the air on the side of further side of subpledges on Monday and serve the process of on the order and the judgment of the Court of Appeal. They have no option than to obey it. I'm saying it because disobedience to that court order, court judgment order, the consequences will be serious. I can assure you of that. The consequences will be serious, both from the international community and from local authority. It will be serious. So the government have no option than to obey it. I have stated it before now that if they refuse to obey that order, all of us will dance naked in the public. What are we talking about again? If you refuse to obey that order of Court of Appeal made yesterday, you are inviting anarchy. Simple. You are inviting anarchy in the system. So the only option available to them, comply with the court order. Go to appeal. We have no problem with that. We'll meet you on appeal. We'll meet on appeal. You have the right to exercise right of appeal. You have the right of appeal to Supreme Court is a constitutional right, which can exercise by everybody. A party who is not a group party can challenge. Supreme Court is the highest court. But the Supreme Court will not allow you to come to him. If you didn't obey the court order made by the Court of Appeal, you must obey that order. That was why the order came out today. That will tell you the importance of that order. It came out today. It was certified today, the rule order. So expectedly, as soon as the order was certified today and made available today, they're supposed to have released it this morning. So order of court must be obeyed. It must be obeyed to the letter. You have no option. The court didn't say, please go and discuss with Nnamdi Kanu. No. The order of court didn't say go and discuss with him. No. He didn't say go, please, DSS, listen to Barrister Jofo. No. Or listen to our lead counsel, Chief Michael Ozekhome said no. He didn't say, please, it's time for people to go and explore political solution and find a way of resolving this matter. Now, this matter is a matter that can be resolved through. The court didn't say that. The court was very emphatic. Released him. He was discharged and released and barred from being prosecuted. Are you with me?
Sure.
So it's simple. So the order of court is direct, has no political inclination, has no political connection whatsoever. So it cannot be tagged any form of political discussion. If a lot of people are taken for granted. In fact, my brother, I told you, let me say this to you. Many of our people were waiting for Barrister Jofo to come and cap in hand begging for us to go and meet the federal government for political solution before now. And God promised me that he would do it at his own time. He said he would do it. He promised me, he assured me. And God has done it at his own time. They were shocked. They were in disbelief as at down. I mean, they're in disbelief. They will tell you that you do this one, this one. Go and do Mr. XYZ. Do this one, to come. We'll go there and come back, and go there and come back. My brother, it's a terrible thing. But thank God, may all the glory and adoration be returned to God Almighty. He has done it for us. And nobody will challenge that authority of God. Nobody will challenge it. It's God doing. The only option available to the state is to respect and obey that order of court to the letter. There's no condition attached to it whatsoever. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Do you think maybe his release will also bring to an end the agitation in the south? That one, I mean, maybe all the little issue, restiveness, and in the southeast, the sit at home on Mondays.
The release of Nnamdi Kanu will bring restiveness in south to total end. Total end. I can assure you of that.
But we've had issues of the unknown gunmen.
No, the point is that there is no section of the country that don't have crimes going on there. Crime activities going on there. It's all over the places. However, the release of Nnamdi Kanu will also help people to also be strong enough, be courageous enough to come out and fight the criminals who are terrorizing our place. Because the criminals who are terrorizing our place are not members of his fellowship, and not his members and all stuff. They are not. They are purely criminals. Because the preachers is very clear. Not anybody who's involved in any form of crime, violent crime or whatsoever, kidnapping, whatever you call it, is a criminal and it should be treated as such. And it has nothing to do with agitation. I can tell you that because I know what I'm saying. I don't do anybody caught doing that, it should be treated as a criminal and it should be exclusive handle like a criminal. But release of Nnamdi Kanu will bring a total peace to our land.
And do you think his also release might impact positively or negatively on P2B's aspirations? Somebody asked that question. Obi asked that question.
Nnamdi Kanu has no business with the political process. I can say that to you. Has no business with political process. It's only purely based on his concern with his agitation, peaceful agitation for freedom of his people. That's all. So political has no business whatsoever with political process. I can assure you of that. So.
I think we've gone through most of the questions which we had from our callers. They've been addressed. I don't think there is any other question. All we have now is hoping that by Monday, Nnamdi Kanu should be released.
Amen.
And who knows? I hope, like you've tried consistently, hammered, try to bring it back home. His release would not be conditional. We had some persons when they say you are released, but you can't leave Abuja.
No. You see, the point I was trying to clarify. I have to come to a level people understand.
Sure.
I wasn't speaking law today. I was speaking facts, and probably in a language people understand. The fact is that he wasn't granted bail. He wasn't granted bail. So had it been he was granted bail, assuming he was granted bail by the lower court, and court appeal varied the bail condition and say, okay, release him, stay in Abuja, don't go Lagos, don't go to East, don't talk to Mr. XYZ, stay there. So many different things altogether. The court nullified the charge preferred against him. The foundation for his being released, for his detention, has been nullified. So he has nothing. He's a free person as I talk to you now. He's a free person. He has no indictment on his head whatsoever. The charge has been nullified. The charge has been dead and buried. He's dead and buried. We are doing the funeral now, and it still continue.
Do you think probably the reaction of the Attorney General has so much to do with not being able to conceive how he could just be let free like that?
The point is that by the time they were planning their criminal activities, they were planning on how to go to another person's land to kidnap an innocent person. They will know that there are consequences for their actions. And you see, judicial process is straight. And thankfully, the lordship was very clear on their judgment, on their pronouncement. So you cannot sanction illegality with illegality. It's simple. So if I don't think he's surprised about, because I made an observation about a thesis, a book he wrote a forward about. That book is called Cases and Material on the Extradition Proceedings. He wrote a forward. That was 2016. The AG wrote a forward on that book. And you see, when you write a forward on a book, you have gone through the content and sanctioned it. And you know the legal consequences of going to another man's country, a sovereign country, to kidnap a citizen. You know. You know about it. And in that book, they condemn it. They call it crime against humanity. And their own law, Terrorism Prevention and Amendment and Provision Act, also classify that action as an act of terrorism. You know. He's a very intelligent man. I believe he's a very intelligent man. You know. Even if it's not his attention is not fully away, they have other lawyers that will bring it to his attention. I say, my little AG, come, there's a problem here. You see? But he was bold enough to grant press conference. Are you not there?
Sure.
He was not that was on 29th of July last year. He was bold enough to grant press conference to tell the world that Nnamdi Kanu has been arrested. He was staying arrested. So now he will be bold enough to release him, to stay away from the process. Am I making sense to you?
Sure.
So he's not, he can't feign ignorance of the legal implication of his inactions or their terrorist acts. Because today, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is a victim of terrorism and was established in the course of time before a court and also before international court. Nigerian state, the federal government of Nigeria, led by President Muhammad Buhari, and also being aided by the AG Federation, has committed act of terrorism against Nnamdi Kanu, going by the provisions of Section 3, 2, sub 3, F of Terrorism Prevention and Provision Act 2022. It's clear. I'm not the one that wrote it. It's a law they put in place. I didn't write the law. I'm just interpreting that law now. And the AG know about that law. You know about all this law. You know about the Convention on Prevention and Combating of Terrorism, OAU Convention. You know about the law. You know about Article 12, sub 4 of African Charter of Human and People's Rights. You know about it. You know about Section 15 of Extradition Act. You know about it. And other sundry laws you're familiar with. You know about their provisions and stringent conditions attached to extradition of a citizen from another country. They are fully aware. You're expert in that field. You won't pretend not to know about this law. You know about it.
Are you going to challenge
as the chief law officer of the country? You know about it.
Are you going to challenge this?
We are not challenging it in high court. We're asking for reparation of 50 billion naira. They pay the Nnamdi Kanu. It's a patronage sum. They have the money. It's not something serious. They'll pay him. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right. Well, I think Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor has done justice to the issue at hand. I don't think there is any other area that is left. And I know it's just of, I wish we could take on our guest, but I don't think they have any other question. And for the sake of time, we just have to begin to wind down here, considering that we've done justice to all the angles to it, from the DSS. What next for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? What does this mean to the Southeast, to Ndibo? Are there political undertones? All of these, he has dealt with them extensively and convincingly. Whether discharged, acquitted, there is no foundation at all talking about that, because the matter is dead and buried, and
Funeral is going on.
the funeral is going
Ongoing.
on. Left, right, and center.
All over the place. And someone has promised to send the
Obi promised. Obi said you should be chopping chicken before
you
we
have to
move
give me
on.
the chicken. So these are part of funeral ceremony going on. Thank you so much.
And James promised whiskey.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, thank you. As we go, just to also let you know that ASU has called off his 8-month-old strike. They said because of the intervention of the House of Reps, led by Femi Gbajabiamila, and the effort of the president, that was why they are calling it off. They had to, well, other well-meaning Nigerians intervened, so they had to adjust. But not that the government has completely fulfilled what they did. And like he said, the appeal court also told us you can appeal. You have grounds to appeal. But first and foremost, go and obey the National Industrial Court. I hope, my challenge, I hope we'll be consistent in this, because I know that also Federal High Court had asked the Nigerian Football Federation not to go ahead with an election until October 30th. They also went to Supreme Court that vacated that order without asking them to obey. So that's why at times I need to understand some of these things. But it looks as if it's becoming consistent. You must obey an order first before you can appeal.
No, to add to assist you before conclusion. We are not talking about sentiment here, we're talking about law.
Sure.
This same Supreme Court, in their recent judgment in the case of Olusemeto against Federal Republic of Nigeria, how did that judgment of the court? It's before us. They go and obey the order of the court to have cover appeal first before coming to me. The court cannot stay an order. Court cannot stay an order. You must go and obey the order of the court and come back for appeal. Rather, when you come back, the appeal can be heard expeditiously, but you have to go back and obey the order of the court. So I will give you the authority if you want it. You don't have a big library.
All right, thank you very much. At least we keep on learning every day.
Thank you.
The court cannot stay an order. So even if the federal government intends to appeal what the Court of Appeal has said, they have to obey the order first, which is releasing Nnamdi Kanu. So by next week, hold so much hope and promise to a lot of Nigerians, to a lot of his followers, and especially from those of them from the Southeast. There are those who will be happy by the fact that his release will bring a measure of peace. They can at least return to life in normal times in the Southeast. That's what we expect will happen. And we also expect that the government can also, the president having said that there is no political solution to this matter, but it has to go through the legal process. The legal process, at least for now, has taken its course. If you want to appeal, but at least we need to obey. This is the government, and this has to do with legal matters. So they have to show the example and not do otherwise. So I think that's how we'll be wrapping up on today's edition of the program. Once again, I appreciate all our friends who have joined us on the program. James from the Gambia, Obioji from the US, Paul Iwunze from the US, Wakwanso from the US, Samuel from the US, Femi, Engineer Femi from the nation's capital here in Abuja. We thank you also for joining us. I hope I'm not missing out anybody. All right. And of course, most importantly, my guest in the studio, Barrister Sir Ifani Ejiofor, Senior Legal Counsel to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, and of course, the lead counsel for IPOB, who has been our guest to throw a lot of insight and light to what happened at the Court of Appeal yesterday. I don't think any other person could have done better than the interpretation and clarification that he has brought. This is somebody who has followed this case for how many years, quoting the 5 cases without even looking at any paper. So you understand how far the dates are just reading out that he's sleeping, eating, and drinking this matter. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so much,
around.
Taufik.
It's a pleasure anyway.
Thank
It's
you
a
so much,
pleasure having
Professor.
you. It's
Pleasure's
always
all mine. Thank you.
it's a reporter's delight to interview.
Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
delight to interview. Thank you
I
very
appreciate
much.
it. God bless you.
All right, our colleagues who do this job make it easy any day, anytime. I love you all. Appreciate you for all that you do. On behalf of the team, I want to thank you for joining us Monday through Friday. And of course, you have to take a little bit of deserved rest. I am Victor Irele saying, God bless your heart. Have a pleasant weekend. We'll see you next week, God willing. Good night.